Carlos Nelson with Cascade Media Group in What's Up, Kansas City. And tonight we have Marvin Lyman on again. He's going to be doing some co-hosting with me as it relates to the discussions of issues that are facing the Black community or the diaspora here in Kansas City. And uh, our show is What's Up, Kansas City? But the things that are going on here in Kansas City politically and every other segment of Black life, those are the same things that are going on in most of the cities that we reside in. And so I think using Cascade Media Group as a platform to have some discussions that on a local level, but at the same time uh, on a national level. And as I always refer to Mr. Lyman somewhat as an egghead, as an intellectual, an egghead is an enduring term from my perspective in our community. Uh, and I think he's very knowledgeable, and I think he's credible when it comes to his opinion and assessment to where we are at as a people here in Kansas City, or he wouldn't be on the show. So let me say that to you. I don't know what your opinion is, but that's Mr. Nelson's opinion. And I plan to move forward with Mr. Lyman on quite a few ventures because all of us, especially you that have in your mind a problem, all of us got closets and all of us got history. But if we are to move forward with the Black agenda, and that's not an agenda that Cascade has, it's an agenda that uh, our community has, that Cascade is prosecuting. And for us to prosecute that mission, we have to have bright minds like Mr. Lyman that understand the statistics and have been there. In addition, and I'm long winded, his family comes from the type of thing that we need to be promoting more of entrepreneurism. And so away we go, Marvin.
All
Uh,
right.
what I'd like to talk about tonight is the current city manager situation. Uh, do you want to lay the framework out and talk about it so I can rest my lips?
Well, I've been watching the news and had some articles sent to me from Jersey City, as well as some video interviews sent to me from Jersey City. And essentially, you have some of the council members, the Black council members, who disagreed with his hiring, and at least one white city council member who also disagreed with his hiring. They all felt that he was not the most experienced candidate, not the best selection. And now there is news of allegations of racial discrimination, where he and others are named uh, in the city of Jersey City there. And so the city council, they came together and there was a move to delay his contract and bringing him on. But apparently all of the city council officials did not feel the same way that the majority of the Black city council members felt. And that goes to a critical point that I want to make here, Carlos, is that, there are two worlds, one white, one Black, and we see things very differently on most occasions. And the problem is that when we see things differently, then white America tends to be blind to what we see and give what we see and what we perceive as they give it a lesser value. And so because of that, our concerns,
This program is brought to you by Black Star Group.
because we tend to make up the minority of government offices, our voices are not heard. Well, they are heard, but they're not adhered to because, again, there's a lesser value that's equated to what we're saying and what our perspective is.
All right. Uh, one thing you neglected to say, but the mayor, the mayor voted. He was the only person of color on the council that voted to proceed with the contract. Now, I don't. The mayor's doing a perfect job, to a good job to me, but a good job is not good enough when it comes to my community. I've asked the mayor repeatedly to come on our show at least once a week to speak directly to the Black community. And the mayor stiffed me at least 7 times. Also, I asked the mayor, how about doing something on the Black network where the white networks have to come do an exclusive with us? Those are things that make appreciable difference in economics and status, and that has yet to take place. And as I say, I don't like really pulling another person of color down when we're all going the same direction. But Cascade Media, and this is a shot across the bow to all you politicians, that when Mr. Nelson or people that are working with us, like Mr. Lyman, and I said earlier, he's like an egghead. Mr. Nelson ain't get nothing from Jersey or nothing. He looked in. He's like I take my thing from Wu-Tang Clan, and he like inspect the deck. He doing the FBI, CIA on things, and you're not going to be able to just come and put things in the paper, especially our council people. I want to go there. Melissa Robinson was the only council person that called me back today, said she wanted to come and talk about that. And from my perspective, I'm just saying, I'm a hammer all you Black council people that are not coming on the Black network on a regular basis to tell our community exactly what's going on. Ball is in your court, Lyman.
Yeah, let me jump in for a second because just like I raised the critical point of white people not valuing us or not valuing our perception, our reality. Well, the same is true about Black people. We don't equally value our perspective. We will when it's concerning us as an individual, but when it concerns us as a collective, then we will defer to what we have been taught, which is to evaluate things based on a Eurocentric perspective. And I mean, you just think about how many hours of media that we've consumed over a lifetime. And now I'm 44 years old, so I've always grown up with the television. I don't know exactly how old you are,
69.
Well, you
TV was just really coming in, advertisement,
exactly
fast food, refrigeration and stuff,
yes.
toilets and stuff.
Right. Yeah, so you're with my mother's generation. So TV was somewhat of a new advent to your generation or what have you. But at the same time, you too have consumed so many white images. Just think about how many images of white heroes that we have consumed in television. How many times have you seen the white damsel in distress, the white child, the white little girl crying tears in distress?
Tarzan.
How many times
King of the Jungle over in Africa?
Did we watch of Johnny Mathis swinging through trees in Africa and chasing tigers which are not even in Africa because they're in Asia. You know, so just think about all those different images that we've consumed where we have been taught, and this is just one mechanism. And talking about TV and that form of media where we've been taught to devalue ourselves. Why is that important? Because when it comes to shows like outlets like Cascade Media, when it comes to other Black outlets, media outlets, we as elected officials, those of us who proclaim to be leaders, those of us who proclaim to have some sense of authority or power, we ought to make sure that we're using Black outlets to get the message across and to use it for exclusive purposes so that you too can get the recognition and the money can begin to flow into our community. And that's where we miss the boat.
All right. On that tip, I think I said this, and I make it real clear to our community and all communities. Uh, they, for the most part, European and the Western way of life has taken about. They've been able to conquer, and that's exactly what they've done. Most of the world, and it's because Europeans recognize technology. And from a technological standpoint, basically, they 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 want to say gunpowder. Gunpowder played a part, but Chinese had gunpowder. There was gun, but they took technology and they rule the world through technology. And black people, uh, uh, if you don't understand, if the people that have the highest technology, they always going to be in power. And
Absolutely.
we have this digital technology with Cascade Media Group and what have you. And look in your heart and look at the respect that you pay to your own black network. As I was telling somebody earlier, I don't know whether it was you, that when you get up, all of us get up and we get on our cell phone first thing in the morning and but do you go to your black network? You go everywhere else but what you own. And so I'm more now asking my bottom three-fourths of my community. Make no bones about it. That's who Cascade Media Group is designed for. It's not designed for the top one-third of our community. Because for the most part, the top one-third of our community has showed us what they care about the community, or the community will be fixed. Because we got enough brain power to fix some of these problems.
Absolutely.
But the ball is back in your court. What you want to talk about this community? What do you want to talk about to your brothers and your sisters? And what do you want to talk about just in general issues that you see?
Well, it's interesting that you brought up the new city manager. I happened to be out Friday, going to City Hall, and found roughly about 8 people protesting outside of City Hall. They were protesting the arrival of Mr. Platt, our new city manager. And being the person that I am, I went over and asked why. And they expressed many of the concerns that I've shared thus far. And they want to be sure that whoever is hired to represent our city, especially with a city manager form of government, that person is going to be fair. I watched a video interview of Mr. Platt, and in that video, I was a little bit disheartened because there was questions raised regarding affordable housing. There were also questions raised regarding race and gentrification. And those questions he avoided. He had more than one opportunity to answer those questions. And so, as a community, what I'd like to say to us is that we can't go in asking any city official, whether they are an employee or an elected official, what they will do for us or ask them to do anything for us. We must tell them what they are to do for us because they work for us. We are the taxpayers of Kansas City, Missouri. Without our dollars, the services, the city itself, the salaries that these folks are paid would not exist. And so we have a responsibility to hold them accountable, but also to give them a plan of action and not to just expect them to develop a plan that will not work for us. We have to develop our own plan and make sure that they work to help us implement that plan. And again, it's not asking anybody to do for us what we can do for ourselves. But if I go to the grocery store and I spend $5, then I expect to get something for that $5. Well, Marvin Lyman, as a taxpayer, we pay our property tax, we pay our sales tax, and because we do that, we expect to get something in return. And that is the service of our government, the responsible service, the accountable service. And that's where we have to hold our officials accountable. But again, we must bring the plan to the government, not look for the government to bring a plan to rescue us, because that ain't happening.
All right, tell me this. Now I'm on our council people again. What do you think? What is your opinion after me calling them and this hoopla and the regular press? Again, I don't get the paper or anything, but I just know how things operate. I don't think that they pressing home that point of they did the article. Was there anything today, hub about the city manager?
You know
To
what?
your
I
knowledge?
didn't look at the paper today. Didn't look at any of the news today.
All right, but I know how that go. But my feeling, I'm dismayed still that not one of those council people have come on the show today to talk about that to their community. What is your feeling on that? Because when I write the description of this, I'm asking our community to share these discussions and don't just share them and give a thumbs up. What's your opinion? They're not going to get right unless they know that you're listening and you're understanding what these issues are. So I'm asking you, what is your opinion on them not getting back with us?
You know, I think that if you're an elected official, and regardless if you're just regardless if you represent the third district and the fifth district and parts of the sixth, where we have the largest concentration of Black folks here in Kansas City, um, you need to speak to our people. Uh, so many times we're left out of the equation. We're people come to talk to us when it's about sketchy subjects. But let's talk about the meat of the matter. Let's talk about economic development. Let's talk about who we should hire to be the city manager. Let's talk about what policies need to change or shift so that we could have fair tax assessments. So yes, I honestly believe that every city council person should reach out to Cascade Media and every Black media outlet first to make sure that we're informed. It's kind of like, if you think about it from a medical perspective, if I were injured, if I had some type of head trauma, and since you called me an egghead, if I had head trauma,
I like that.
And I went to my favorite hospital, Truman Medical Center, I wouldn't expect the doctors in the emergency room to begin looking at my foot, my toenail, my kneecap, my hip bone. I would expect them to triage
This is brought to you by Africana Art.
my head, because that's where the injury is. Well, what's the most injured community in Kansas City? It happens to be the Black community, the most disenfranchised community, the most racially segregated community on purpose, the most intentionally divested community on purpose here in Kansas City. So why would we not triage that community and make sure that the vital information is getting to that community, and that the resources there are being empowered? That's when you have responsible government that's in tune not only with the least of these, but you have responsible government really wanting the entire city to grow and prosper. That's what we need.
Well, you obfuscated a little bit, because I'm talking about those 4 Black council people. That's who I'm talking about and who I'm going in on, because they act like they can just say what they want to say and fade into the woodwork. And then they say, well, I made the statement, I voted against it. It's just like most people don't know the mayor voted with the white council people. And I said this before, I have most of those white council people's cell number, and I don't even have the Black people's cell number.
Well, let's deal with some harsh reality. Is that, when our Black elected officials, they could come on and they could say some things, and at the end of the day, who's going to stand behind them? Are we as a Black community going to stand behind them? So it cuts both ways. So the accountability that we're demanding of them, we also have to demand the same accountability of ourselves. I've stepped out on the front line and looked behind me when all the arrows was coming at me and nobody else was there. And so we can't allow our elected officials to get out in front.
No, I'm not letting you go there. They made that pronouncement on the city manager. They got in, we're dissatisfied. You're dissatisfied. I watched Melissa tonight on somebody's Zoom or what have you. What I see, they have these little groups and they want to get on Facebook, and that's only talking to a certain segment of people. They're not talking to their community. And that shit has got to stop. Because that's what the call is for, and that's what we're for. All of that other stuff, those are not businesses. We're in business. And any one of you officials that think that you don't have to use the black media and you're black, we're going to show you in 2021 what that's going to look like for you on your next election. In the story. Ball is in your court, Marvin.
And I concur with you, Carlos, because here's the deal. Here's the point that I was making. Going back to Lee Barnes, when Lee Barnes, in particular, with regards to the airport and the that whole contract issue or whatnot, and the whole process and the way that it unwound, if you will. And he was the main one sounding the alarm, saying, "Hey, we've got a problem. Hey, this is not right." But in large respect, the people did not get behind him. And you have to ask the question, why did the people not get behind him? Now, what I don't know is if Lee Barnes used Cascade Media.
Yeah, but no, let me say this. We are not the answer to everything. The people didn't get behind him or nobody. Shit, they're not behind us the way they need to be.
And that's the issue
of the past leadership.
Yes.
And how they use the people's trust.
Yes.
And so it's not about your scenario, the people getting behind them. They but have to build trust from scratch right now, in my estimation.
Okay.
And with Cascade, they really got to build trust with me. All that. They still think that they can do them little political, oh, I'm sorry and I missed and this. I'm going to hammer you every day, and our viewership is going to grow, and people are going to see who you really are and who you are really representing.
And I don't disagree with you, Carlos, because I think we have to keep our elected officials' feet to the fire. But let me go here for just a moment in terms
give them a break, Marvin. Go ahead and give them
a
break.
No, this is no break. This is no break.
Right.
Because again, it cuts on both sides. Going back, and I'm going to use Councilman Barnes since I picked him out. But over 30,000 people from our community said, "We trust you to represent our community." So you've earned the trust to some degree. But then here's what happens to our people. After we vote, we expect for the elected official to do all the work, when we don't understand that that the work happens because you still have those 30,000 plus people knocking at the door of City Hall and saying, "Hey, ain't nothing going to happen unless we get this policy issue addressed to our liking." And that's where I'm saying there has to be dual accountability.
Well, I think that's what our company makes possible by bridging the gap that has existed between our political, social, and all of our leadership. We used to be like this 30 years ago, 40 years ago, and we've gone like this. And all of that has come about because of economics. Number one reason is economics. And so if economics is the problem, then we must attack economics, not education, not housing, not the earth, economics. Economics will solve all of the problems. Economics created the problems. I try to show this. you get on YouTube, right? YouTube, they worry the hell out you with ads. They say, pay us, we'll let you look at what you're looking at without a hassle. Then this is how the world say. They put so many, they say, pay us to put your ads on. So they getting paid both ways. And that's how the white people, the Europeans, that's what war is about. That's what these big industrial military complex about. Keep shit stirred up in the world and sell all the weapons in the world, and the corporations be on full while we on empty, because you have given your power to politicians who are not bringing home the bacon. Mm-hmm. Balls in your court. And this is the last segment. After the balls in this court, we're gonna close this up and look for us at a later date. Roll, Marv.
Well, I'm thinking back to the 40 years ago and trying to imagine this time where we were more united, and I don't see it. I look back 60 years ago and we were a little more united. So I'm going from the 80s to the 60s, but you'd have to go to the early 1900s to about 1930, 1940 or so to see Black folks really united. And here's why I say that, because if you go look at the early 1900s and you look at all those different Black communities, we talk about Black Wall Street as if it were just Tulsa, Oklahoma, but there were Black Wall Streets all across the country.
That's what Harlem was about.
I'm sorry?
That's what Harlem was about in New York.
Exactly. From
all
Harlem,
of us had anything we
Village.
Want, shoemakers, dressmakers, lawyers, doctors, and to boot. You know,
absolutely.
We know that.
So until we get to a point to where we take our economic prosperity into our own hands, and we say we are going to shop with us, we're going to buy from us, we're going to use our own media, we're going to develop our own media, we're going to have ownership, development, and control. The problem that we have now is that we have an employee. We are trained to be employees. We are not trained to own, to develop, to manage, and then employ. We're trained just to be employees. And so the employees is the one that's going to get what? $10 an hour, $9 an hour, maybe $15 an hour, just enough to be the working poor. And so if we want to do better, then we must actually do better and take our economics in our own hand and spend with us. I'm going to go back to one thing real quick, and I know you got to cut me off, but just think about the services that we have to use. We have to use the Black services. We have to use Black barbershops and Black beauty salons. But think about all the restaurants out there that are getting our money because we don't value our food. We don't value our restaurateurs that are out there. Think about all the grocery stores that exist out there that are getting all of our dollars, and we couldn't keep one, the oldest Black grocery store in the country in business after 60 years. And so I say all that again to say that we must take ownership. So it's just not holding folks accountable for systemic racism, but it's also us untraining our minds from systemic racism and hurting ourselves.
All right, that was excellent on closing, Marvin. Really appreciate you coming on. And as we always say in closing, when you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself. Good night.
Program is brought to you by the Kansas City Business Association.